What's going on, y'all? That boy Gam back in the building, tapping in with y'all one more time. I just wanted to get on here today and do a reaction to the Freeway Rick Ross interview on the Joe Rogan podcast that just dropped today. And this part was pretty interesting how they started off, right? Because this wasn't the first time Freeway Rick Ross was on the Joe Rogan podcast. Now, if y'all don't know who Freeway Rick Ross is, he was the guy that on the Snowfall TV show, the character Franklin Saint was supposed to be based off of his life. You see what I'm saying? So, the guy that the CIA had dealing drugs, crack cocaine on the streets to fund the war that they had going on. That whole story, that was Freeway Rick Ross' story. So this wasn't the first time he got on this show, because he got on the show a while back, right after he got released from prison. Because if I'm not mistaken, he did like over 20 years. I don't remember exactly how long, but so he gets on this time and he tells Joe Rogan how he was mad at him. He told him why was he upset with him. And I'm going to go ahead and play this so y'all can see what I mean real quick.
Joe Rogan Podcast, check it out.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Train by day, Joe Rogan Podcast by night, all day.
Good to see you again, my friend.
Man, it's been a long time.
It's been, like 9 years. Yeah, we were talking about it.
Yeah.
Been a while.
Yeah.
For people who don't know.
I've been waiting.
That was 9 years ago? That's crazy. That was a long time.
I was like, I dialed your number and it wasn't working no more. I was like, okay.
I've had about 8 different numbers.
He'll call me. I said, he'll call me.
Yeah, for people who don't know, the real Rick Ross is not a rapper, just like your shirt says.
And you know who inspired that shirt?
I think I did.
You did. And you don't even know the whole story.
What's the story?
Well, after that day, you told me that I needed a shirt, right?
Yeah.
I was really homeless then.
Really?
You didn't know that part of the story.
Know.
Well, I didn't go around like, hey, man, I'm homeless.
Said he was homeless. So he was homeless after he got released from prison. Didn't have nowhere to stay.
So I was technically homeless.
See, that's just an example of how you can have clout without money. Because he had enough clout and enough of influence to get a Joe Rogan podcast, even when he was broke. How many people wanted to interview him, but he didn't have money? But he still had that clout and that influence.
In a vacant apartment, me and my old lady and my 2 kids. And when I told you that I was doing bad, you was like, man, you need a T-shirt. And when I left the show, I was a little high. I was like, damn, that motherfucker told me I need a T-shirt, and I'm fucked up. But he know I handle money. He know I'm a thinker. Why he didn't help me? And so I'm walking down the street downtown, and this kid come up to me, and he was like, hey, Rick, I heard you on Joe Rogan the other day. And I was like, yeah? He was like, yeah, and I got a T-shirt idea for you. I said, oh, shit, another one of those motherfuckers. And I said, what's your idea? And he said, the real Rick Ross is not a rapper. And I said, corny is a motherfucker. But I kept an open mind, and I said, okay, let's do it. The kid did it. I go to him a couple weeks later, and he give me 100 T-shirts. I sell a whole 100 the same day.
Wow.
And then something popped in my head and said, why don't you call Joe? That's when your number was still the same. And I called you. You called me to the show, and you put my T-shirt on. And the T-shirt went crazy. My PayPal, because I ain't saw you since then, so I never got to tell you thanks for telling me to do a T-shirt, even though I was mad at you.
Why were you mad at me?
Because I was like, why the fuck nobody helped me? I was looking for somebody to come and say, hey, man, here's 100,000. See what you can do with it. $1 million. See what you can do with it. That's what I was looking for when I got out of prison. I was like, somebody's gonna come and say, "Man, I know you can handle money. Let's do something." So I was looking for that.
So he said he was looking for somebody to give him some money because he figured he know how to handle money. I mean, that's how it be sometimes. What you expect might not be what you get, but it might still come a different way. You never know.
looking for a T-shirt. But, you know, in one of my favorite books, it might come through the back door. Don't look at the front door, look at the back door. So I did that. And when you put that T-shirt on, man, my PayPal went like this here. And I was like, my old lady, she was like, man, that PayPal is going crazy. I was like, that motherfucker broke.
He thought something was wrong.
I said, go
with
check
it.
the bank account. And she went and checked the bank account, man. It's like $18,000, $20,000 in there. And I was like, oh my goodness, we finna get an apartment.
Wow.
So my whole life changed from there.
Man, what? He went from being rich, freeway Rick Ross. He was rich, man. And then he got out of jail and he was homeless with his family, though. Whew, that's tough. He was expecting money, but it came a different way. That's interesting story there. But he said he was mad at Joe Rogan because he wanted him to give him money. But yeah, man, it's crazy.
There, I took that money and I did this.
Wrote a book?
I had already wrote the book.
Oh.
I wrote the book in prison.
Oh.
When I had a life sentence. You know, I wrote this book. This was kind of like my message to the world about what it takes to become a drug dealer, how you become a drug dealer. I wrote it for kids so they would know if they started to be a drug dealer, what they was going to run into.
Like a how-to manual.
Like a how-to manual. Because I said, nobody ever wrote a book about... Well, I look at it like this, Joe. You know, we always talk to kids about why not to sell drugs. But why not give them all the information? And they make their own decision. Okay, you sell drugs. Yeah, you might get a big house. You might get the cars. But at the end of that rainbow is some cufflinks and a prison sentence. So I felt that
You want to give them all the information.
I wanted to give them all the information. So I wrote this. And I brought you one as a gift.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. Your story is incredible. And for people who don't know, just because, you know, we did a couple of podcasts in the past, but just for people that don't know, you unknowingly were, during the whole Contras versus the Sandinistas war,
Yep.
the United States government or some people inside the United States.
So basically, he just explaining, just like the story on Snowfall. But I know that everybody didn't see Snowfall, the show. So this is just basically a breakdown of how it happened.
Government were selling crack in the hood and probably other places too. And they were using that to fund this war. They're using the money to fund this war.
Yeah.
And you were the one who was moving the drugs.
Correct.
And
A lot of it.
And you didn't know. You had no idea
I
where
was the dumb kid from South Central, man.
Yeah.
I never read a book.
you couldn't read.
I couldn't read at that time.
Which is so crazy. Let me keep going. So you get arrested, you go to jail, you learn how to read in jail, learn how to become a lawyer in jail,
Yep.
figure out that the way they did you with 3 strikes was bullshit because it's supposed to be 3 different instances of
Yep.
you being arrested. They used the 3 instances.
Yeah, so he basically explaining that Rick Ross got himself out of jail because he basically figured out that the 3 strikes that they gave him was all for the same crime, basically. It was one time he got caught, they gave him 3 strikes for that. 3 different things he did within the same crime. But really, it was supposed to be 3 different crimes equal 3 strikes. So he ended up getting himself out. But man, the interview it's a good interview. About 2.5 hours or so. Y'all can go check it out. Y'all go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Till next time, y'all. Again, I'm tapping out.